This conversation will revolve around how data analytics can help businesses optimize their performance to drive growth and efficiency. And to drive that conversation is none other than Carol Odero, who's also here with us. Carol, asante sana, karibu sana.
Thank you.
And Carol, by the way, has just been nominated as a Fashion Icon of the Year. Please, can we give it up to Carol, please? A lady who wears several hats, but she's a multiple award-winning journalist with more than 15 years experience across TV and print. And she has worked on the business and lifestyle desks at Nation Media Group, has also been a creative writer at True Love East Africa, and editor-in-chief, which is the same role she holds at CIO, if I'm not wrong. Yes, as the editor-in-chief, publishing for CIO. And she has also been the editor-in-chief at Drum East Africa magazine, where she was named a mover and shaker in both media and the fashion industry. And she was also the editor-in-chief of the award-winning lifestyle magazine, Couture Africa. Karibu sana, Carol, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Where are my people on the screen? So, Francis, I'm very curious. What makes data analytics the belle of the ball?
Okay, maybe we could, I think from what Harry said earlier on.
Yes, so COVID-19 was, I wouldn't say there was a lot of AI and data science and analytics in COVID. It was more rudimental, the fundamentals. It was getting people to work remotely. It was, just the basics. The pandemic forced companies to invest a lot in very basic things that they should have done all along, cloud, remote working, and all that. So we didn't use data science a lot for the pandemic. We did use data science, we did use data analytics, but it was not for the pandemic.
All right.
Yes.
Good morning, gentlemen. Please introduce yourselves.
Right, so business process outsourcing. So what we do, we use a bit more of data, actually look at customers' behavioral patterns. Like you said earlier, we work with MultiChoice Nigeria as well. So what we do is to gather data, to analyze how people actually look at data subscription, how they subscribe to their pay TV. So powered with AI, we look at their behavioral patterns, the kind of stations, channels they like watching. So with that, we'll push content to them using those data. So we'll speak more into it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, it's done.
Yeah, it's Oladimiji here.
Hi.
Oladimiji Kazim. I'm a data intelligence analyst. I've done a lot of crazy stuff with data in the past, and I speak to us. I still have my hands dirty data. It's all I dream about, it's all I think about, it's all I work with. With so much experience, and I promise you that this session is going to be very with a lot of insight. Thank you.
Okay. So did you have any use of data analytics during COVID that actually helped with your business, that you can see improved it, or there was a bottom line that increased? Is there anything that you can tell us? Because we are at a CEO conference, I'm guessing the CEOs would want to know, how does data analytics actually help them?
Okay, maybe I should let us know that when COVID started, we did not at some point believe it would get to where it got us to. Until March 24th, 2020, when it became a serious issue, and the federal government of Nigeria at that point in time, came up with a lot of initiatives around COVID. And at that point in time, my organization decided to close down, to shut down, so that people could be able to work from home. Now, I would like to tell us on this call that at that point in time, I worked with an organization with over 500,000 customers in 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. A lot of analysis went into the data. to establish what the trends were, where were the trends coming from, what do we need to do? If we bring down this organization at this point in time, what happens to our customer? So we had a lot of back and forth discussions at the management and senior management, even up to executive level. And we came up with the fact that, okay, we need to organize laptops for people to work from home so that those services, those processes that need to run from devices will be able to run without issues. Other processes that are client-facing activities, we push them to the cloud. We push them to a lot of web stuff. We improve our mobile application, improve our web interface, so that when you log on to the mobile application, you are able to do exactly what you have done if you had visited our offices. So we analyzed the data that we had in-house, and we're able to stratify the data to say, okay, this is the data by region. This is the data by state. Within a particular state, these are the clusters. So when we're able to isolate the cluster, then it helps us to take the appropriate decision. I'm happy to tell us on this call that every decision that we took from March 24, 2020 was strictly based on the data that we had available with us as an organization at that point in time.
Okay.
Do you have the same thoughts?
Okay, so during the COVID period, we had a bit of issues. You know, people were used, I was working in the space of capital market where people have to go to Nigerian stock exchange to do trading and all that. You know, it was more of you walk in, stock brokers have to walk in there. So we thought, what can we do differently? So we did a bit of data analysis. Okay, at what time do people walk into the exchange? At what, because you can walk in there and do your trading. At what time do people walk in? What do people actually do? What kind of companies do they trade in? So by the time we do those analysis and we look at the time frame, we use analysis to look at, okay, people actually like trading this type of stock at this point in time. So we opened our mobile banking application. That if for every trading you want to do, you don't need to go to the stock exchange building. You can actually trade from the comfort of your house using this data, using this time frame. So for, let's say, between the hours of 9 and 10, you can trade in this type of stock. So at that point, you know that between the hours of 9 and 10, I can actually just log into my system and do my trading rather than me say, okay, I want to go to the exchange floor. So we did a bit of more of data because, like we always say, data is the new oil. With data, you can have so many things. You can do so many things with your data. Data is as simple as the letter A. So if you understand that, okay, with data, okay, now, 2 years back, the GNDP, we came to Nigeria and we actually in the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. So we understood the fact that data is actually very key and very important for every organization. That's why the Nigerian government had to take that GDPR from the European Union and brought to Nigeria and engineered to Nigerian Data Protection Regulation in 2019. So for that, we all know that data is very important, data is very key in terms of using data, analyzing what you do with those data, and the end point, you can now use it to personalize customer experience and all that. So data is actually very, very key, and it was used during the COVID-19 because it actually opened up so many avenues for us to use data. Because before now, we are used to the brick and mortar, walking to it. But with COVID-19, they opened up the space, and the only way you could do that was to use data, analyze that data, and ensure that use it to maximum use. Thank you.
So do you think, all of you, that the GDPR regulations or the Data Protection Act in Kenya or the Nigerian Data Protection Laws regulations, has this actually made it easier because it gives you guidelines when it comes to handling data, or has it made it harder in the sense that it has guidelines that make you wonder how to handle data?
Maybe I could go first on that one. When it comes to regulatory requirements, like GDPR, like all the laws in Kenya, in Nigeria, and other places, they are not liabilities. They don't make it harder. They introduce best practice. In the long run, you're actually a lot better off if the industry has best practices on how things should be done. When you're dealing with data, and this is about privacy, this is about people's lives. So we have to be responsible in how we manage that. So it doesn't make it harder, it doesn't make it easy. It's just one of those things it's a framework, you have to work within it. And if everyone adheres to that, then it becomes safer for all of us, and it becomes more sustainable in the long run. Otherwise, if we just, everyone does their own thing and no one cares about the ethics, for example, involved, then later on down the line you find you might be slapped with fines or some huge requirements for investments that might just bring the whole thing down. So it's actually safer for everyone.
Interesting. Did my gentleman disappear? Should I wait for them to come back?
I'm here. We're here.
Oh, okay, great. So do you also think
Okay,
that,
so
yeah.
okay, so for Nigeria, I would say Nigerian data protection actually brought in the bill of sanity. Okay, so a few years back, someone could just get your data and start sending you promotional SMS and emails without seeking your consent, because the data is everywhere. I could just probably I go online, fill in my data, and boom, in the next 5 minutes, I just see people send me promotional messages via SMS, via my email, subscribe to this. But with the advent of the NDPR, because for every data subject, you have to be mindful of how you use the data. Because if I expose my data to you today, there's every likelihood that you are supposed to safeguard my data. So if those information I sent to you, you sent it to someone else, I could sue you and say, okay, I actually gave you this data for the purpose of this service. Why are you selling my data to someone? So it has actually brought a bit of sanity, and in terms of people are mindful of the way they send your data out now. So that's all to an extent.
So when you're handling data, how do you account for bias? Because it's very possible that you have your own perspective, you might have a thinking of what the results should be. How do you handle your own bias? Yes,
No, let me come in here, Carol. On this subject, I think that we need to look at the way some of us have practiced data stuff, because I think I've done this in about 4 countries, and I can tell you vividly what my experience was like. I did it as a consultant, and I did it as a staff of an organization. Given that those countries have their variables, they have their ways of doing things. What I can tell us is that there is the way the data framework is just like the way every other regulatory framework works. So there's no difference. They've given you the guideline. It's not left for you to consume the guideline within the context of which you have requested it for it. So it's not perceived as something out of the blues. No, it's just to perfect the way we work currently. Just like the other speaker said. Before now, you can send anything to anybody, but now everybody is conscious because nobody wants to end up in the courtroom. So it's a very simple logic. So take the GDPR thing as nothing but a framework, a regulation, like every other, like we have financial regulation, pension regulation, this regulation, that regulation. So data protection is also a regulation. Thank you.
Sorry about that. You asked a question about bias. I'd actually prepared a few points from my experience working with analytics and data science. And I don't know if this is the right time to share them because...
Share them, please.
Okay, fine. So, number one, you are a data scientist. So look for insights, not spirits. Okay? Don't jump to conclusions and avoid confirmation bias. That's what triggered it. Avoid confirmation bias. It's a big, big problem. And especially now that when, in this era when you talk about fake news and all that, don't do it. No, you haven't found evidence that the earth is flat. You haven't. So just, yeah. So that's number one. Number two, if you are the only star shining in the sky, you could be just a planet and not a very bright one at that. Compare yourself with those at your destination, not where you came from. Now, this is important. Sometimes you present what you have found in the company, and everyone praises you, everyone is admiring you, and you think you have arrived. You haven't. You still have a long way to go. Always remind yourself that, because you need that discipline. Okay? Otherwise, the halo will be too heavy on your head and too bright for you to see how far you still have to go. Number 3, don't get lost in the forests, fixating on individual trees. Take in the whole forest, then conquer it, divide and conquer. Okay? That way you avoid nonsensical conclusions. And this is very common when you're dealing with data for the first time, and you might think, this is something I have found. And then you present it to, the heads, and then they tell you, no, what are you smoking? And that's because you didn't take in the big picture before you went in, to the rest. Number 4, tax evasion and tax avoidance. You know about that one, yeah?
Yes.
It is illegal to, which one is illegal? It's illegal to evade tax, but it is not illegal to avoid tax. It's the same thing. And I'll demonstrate some of this tomorrow. Transform the data. Now, one thing people don't tell you about tax avoidance, it's not just that it is not illegal. You are actually encouraged to take advantage of tax avoidance. It's an incentive. It's there for a reason. And it's the same thing with data transformation. When you're doing data analytics and data science, transform that data. Now, why did I bring in tax avoidance and tax evasion? Don't cook data. Don't cook data to show what you want it to show. That is unethical, but you should definitely transform it. Next, you are in a learning journey.
Yeah.
Okay? Seek to be a librarian, not a library. You know the difference between the two?
Yeah.
If you're a library, you know everything. If you're a librarian, you know where the knowledge is.
Yeah.
In this line of data analytics and data science, you cannot know everything. You will definitely not know everything. Don't even try it. It's impossible. But if you know where to get what you need to know, then you're on your way there.
Okay, you can wrap it up.
Okay, thanks. The other thing is about perfection. Of course, that's related to the other one. Don't seek for perfection. This is not for people with OCD. You just have to learn to accept that. Remember the Pareto rule, 20% of the effort will give you 80% of the results. Don't try to boil the ocean. And then I think this is an important one. Maybe I should point out. Don't get caught in purist ideologies. You find people who are, I can never use Excel. In business, what matters is how fast can you move from idea to a project, to an initiative, to results. So whatever can get you there quickly, use it and get there as quickly as possible. I think that's...
All right.
Yeah.
All right, just to wrap it up with all the gentlemen, what is the biggest source of data that we are all missing and is right in front of our faces?
So okay, fine.
Yes. What is the biggest source of data we are missing? And it's right in front of our faces. We haven't seen it yet, or it exists, but we don't really recognize it.
So as they prepare, can I give an experience of multi-choice?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just, hello?
Yeah, Carol, in response to that, I can tell us data is everywhere. Let me just give us a case. For example, you want to travel from Mombasa, you want to go to maybe JKIA from Mombasa Airport. At some point, you collect your information. When you get to JKIA, your information is there. Then at some point, also, somebody somewhere collect your information. So if your information goes everywhere, and the way it happens to you, it happens to the other person. When you get to what's the name of it? Supermarket. You get to the supermarket to buy something. For some, if you have the supermarket card, your information is there already. So everything about you is in the public domain. It's everywhere. Now the question is, what are we doing with it?
Okay.
I'm going to give us an example here of my last experience, which happened maybe, that should be June, July. There is this telco.
Let me get
That was
Mudiaga's
real.
perspective. Let me get Mudiaga's
Sorry?
perspective, then you can wind up. Let me get Mudiaga's perspective.
Okay, so my own perspective is that, like the way you just said now, your data is everywhere. It now depends on how they use your data. Have they picked your consent to use your data? Like I said earlier, the data is as simple as the letter A or the figure 1, which means for every letter in your name is a data that can be used somewhere else. So how do you use those data? What are these data being used for? Now, let's actually say, if you want to, let me use myself as an example.
Yeah.
I walk into a mall and they look at my data. If they have a information about the kind of person I am, they're very likely they will know that this is what I actually want to buy. These are the things if I go to a grocery store, this is what I buy every now and then because they have my data. So with those data, because your data is everywhere, a business can use those data for informed decision on how to actually push information to you. Let me use MultiChoice as an example. I use DSTV every now and then. Sorry for using that word. Now, they know that I watch football every Saturday. And they know that. So most times what they do now is that if my subscription is going to last in 2 days, they will send it to us, oh, Chelsea is going to play Manchester United in 2 days' time. Ensure that you pay your subscription. So they've used my behavioral pattern for a business to empower them to actually push information to me at every moment. So that's why data is very key. And using one's data, you don't just gather data. Look at the person's behavioral pattern. You can now use that to push information to that person. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, okay. So what data, you asked a question, which
Yeah.
data is right in front of us and we're not using it? So let me give an experience we had. So for a long time, we have always wanted to know where are our subscribers. Everyone wants to know where your customers are, right? But broadcasting technology is simplex. What this means is that once we transmit the signal, we don't know where you are. You receive it from wherever. But it would be very useful to know, are our marketing campaigns working? Are our billboards effective? When our salespeople go to a place, has the number of subscribers there increased? You know, those kinds of things. Then we realized, wait a minute. In Kenya, over 90% of our customers pay using Paybill, Safaricom Paybill. So we were regretting about the simplex technology and all this time. And yet, if we approach Safaricom and they tell us where our subscribers are paying from, because the moment you pay using a Paybill, it's captured in the nearest BTS, then we can get to know where our customers are. That data was always there. It was always there. So that's what we have now, we've been using in the last few months. I'm going to present some of that tomorrow. It's fascinating what you can learn from that. And yet it was always in front of our eyes. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much better than saying Google Analytics or social media platforms. But yeah, that does give me some insight into how you operate.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I'm glad that you got time to tell us about the data insights. Have yourselves a lovely day.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.